Chapter 205. The reason why Fu Chongshan invited a direct disciple from the Heaven Fiend sect wasn't because he wanted to befriend them. If he had such a thought, it would be a joke. Between neighboring sects, there was only competition for benefits. Why would there be any friendship? What's more, the Violent Saber sect and Heaven Fiend sect weren't very friendly, just like the relationship between the Azure Water sect and Heaven Fiend sect. The reason why he invited a direct disciple from the Heaven Fiend sect was because he paid a star stone. The so-called star stone was the key to enter the Star Road hidden domain. The Star Road hidden domain was the most mystical place in the East Unicorn continent. This hidden domain wasn't like the other hidden domains which required a specific time and location to enter. The Star Road hidden domain could be entered as long as one had a star stone and could crush it. But the Star Road hidden domain had restrictions on cultivation level and age. In order to enter the Star Road hidden domain, one must be at the Earth realm and must not be older than 35 years old. Those who could satisfy these two conditions were basically direct disciples from the various sections. Hence, the Star Road hidden domain had another name, the Genius hidden domain. According to those who entered, the Star Road hidden domain had a path to the stars. The stronger one's potential, the further one could walk. Every time one walked for a certain distance, there would be a checkpoint. After passing the checkpoint, one could continue to advance. After passing the checkpoint, one would receive the support of the Star Road hidden domain's energy, which would drastically increase one's cultivation speed. Of course, the Star Road hidden domain's energy would be depleted. Once it was depleted, the cultivation speed would return to normal. Many of the direct disciples who came to the 100 Battle region had entered the Star Road hidden domain before. After they came out, their cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. It wasn't difficult for them to advance by one level. The mystical Star Road hidden domain wasn't just limited to this. But only those true prodigies could enter the Star Road hidden domain. After they came out, they would usually keep their mouths shut and wouldn't easily reveal anything. Fu Chongshan had entered the Star Road hidden domain once. He wasn't confident that he could progress further in the Star Road hidden domain. Hence, he gave the Star Stone to his fellow sect disciples and chose the opportunity to enter the Reincarnation realm's tomb. The black-robed youth from the Heaven Fiend sect was called Su Heishan. He was a silver-grade direct disciple of the Heaven Fiend sect. He had spent a Star Stone in exchange for this opportunity. He had originally planned to come here alone, but he had not expected to meet the young sect master Li Wuxia in Blood Color City. Li Wuxia's cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the Earth realm and his ability was relatively weaker. But as the young clan patriarch, Li Wuxia had plenty of life-saving items on him. After all, he was the son of the clan patriarch. After Li Wuxia revealed some of his trump cards, Su Heishan decided to bring Li Wuxia along. Li Fuchen didn't expect to encounter Li Wuxia here. Li Wuxia didn't expect to meet Li Fuchen here either. Li Fuchen, it's you. Li Wuxia roared with rage and then let out a sinister smile. The last time he let Li Fuchen escape, he had been regretting it. He didn't expect the heavens to be so kind to him and actually send him to his doorstep. Li Wuxia. At this moment, Li Fuchen didn't intend to hide his identity. He wiped his face with his palm and restored his true appearance. Qin Shixiang. Fan Qiansong and Fan Qinyu were stunned. The Qin Shixiang that they were talking about was actually younger than them. From his appearance, he was at most 20 years of age. To be able to reach the 2nd level of the Earth realm at such a young age, he was definitely considered a first-rate prodigy. Most importantly, Li Fuchen killed Lu Guangfeng in a single strike. Even though they knew that Li Fuchen used an artifact, but an artifact required someone to control it. If the user's ability was too weak, the power of the artifact would be limited. Seeing Li Fuchen's formation, Song Qinghe and Fu Chongshan were a little shocked. A 20-year-old and at the 2nd level of the Earth realm. In any sect he would be considered a first-rate prodigy. Only elite 5-star bone frames could compare with him. Luckily, Fu Chongshan had left the sect for nearly a year and didn't know about the 100 Herbs hidden domain. Otherwise, he would definitely have animosity towards Li Fuchen. After all, Li Fuchen had killed plenty of good seedlings from the Violent Saber sect. Wei Shanhe and Su Muyu's eyes landed on Li Fuchen. Wei Shanhe's face revealed a trace of jealousy. Rain, on the other hand, had a curious look on her face. She didn't notice Li Fuchen at first, but after some consideration, she immediately noticed something unusual about Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen gave her an extremely mystical feeling. At times, he was like a blazing sun, and at other times, he was like a peerless artifact sword, emitting a pressuring qi presence. This person is rather special. The senses of a six-star bone frame was extremely mystical. To a certain extent, a six-star bone frame senses towards a prodigy surpassed that of a heaven realm martial artist. Just like a magnet, there would be a repulsive force and an attractive force. You are Li Fuchen? Su Heishan's qi presence burst out and enveloped Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen killed the White Fiend of the Heaven Fiend sects Black and White Fiend, and the White Fiend was the best friend of his cousin, Black Fiend. I am. Since things had come to this, Li Fuchen decided to go all out. If they wanted to fight, then he would fight, even if Su Heishan was at the 8th level of the Earth Realm. You deserve the death penalty for killing my Heaven Fiend sect's disciple. Hand over your life. A peculiar weapon appeared in Su Heishan's hand. This peculiar weapon was made up of 3 parts, a metal rod, a chain, and a steel ball that was filled with spikes. Meteor hammer, a peculiar weapon that was extremely lethal. Boom! Wielding the metal rod, Su Heishan violently swung his arm. The meteor hammer that was connected to the chain was like a blinding meteor as it blasted at Li Fuchen. Activating the primary clear hand, Li Fuchen's hand gathered the purest and unyielding primary clear qi. Drawing the black gold sword, Li Fuchen welcomed the meteor hammer. Rumble! The 3rd floor of the tea house exploded. Li Fuchen was sent flying and landed on the streets. There were also differences between true disciples of sections. True disciples of sects with profound cultivation would definitely have obtained many true teachings. Li Fuchen cultivated a 3-star secret technique. This Su Heishan obviously cultivated a 3-star secret technique too. Even though it wasn't very profound, but when executed with his 8th level Earth Realm cultivation, he was still able to suppress Li Fuchen. In fact, if Li Fuchen didn't use the Earth-class weapon shard to sneak attack the Silvercloth sect's direct disciple, Lu Guangfeng, it would be impossible for Li Fuchen to kill him. Li Fuchen, prepare to die. Su Heishan gave chase. Rotating flow sword style. Against the overbearing Su Heishan, Li Fuchen burst forth and executed the Mystic-class mid-tier rotating flow sword style. In an instant, the flaming sword light spun like a stream of water, turning into a spiral and clashed with Su Heishan. Rumble! A large pit appeared on the streets. This time, Li Fuchen only took 3 steps back. Even though Su Heishan also cultivated a 3-star secret technique, but Li Fuchen's technique rank was obviously much higher. And his 3-star secret technique rank was also higher. With the addition of the Mystic-class mid-tier sword Intent, Li Fuchen could barely contest with his opponent. This was the difference between elite prodigies and regular prodigies. With the advantage in all aspects, it was enough to offset the disadvantage in cultivation level. Impossible! How did his ability become so strong? Li Wuxia was rather shocked. The Li Fuchen in the 100 Herbs hidden domain was already terrifying. The current Li Fuchen was even more fearsome than before. But the more fearsome Li Fuchen was, the more it stimulated Li Wuxia's murderous intent. If he didn't eliminate this person, he would forever be his inner demon. Mystic-class mid-tier sword Intent. As expected. On the 3rd floor of the tea house, there were only a few places that were still intact. Rain's position was undoubtedly the most intact place. Seeing Li Fuchen's sword style, Rain's eyes flashed with a strange light. Chapter 206. Li Fuchen, you shall die today. Li Fuchen's evilness caused Su Heishan's killing intent to flourish even more. Jiang Yi was only at the 2nd level of the Earth Realm and was able to barely go against him. Once he breaks through to the 3rd level of the Earth Realm, wouldn't he be able to go against him? Once he breaks through to the 4th level of the Earth Realm, would he be able to suppress him? Su Heishan didn't wish for Li Fuchen to continue growing. With his ability burst to the limits, Su Heishan hammered at Li Fuchen again and again. Be it the strength or the attack speed, it was much more ferocious than before. Li Fuchen took a step back. In terms of direct combat strength, I'm obviously weaker than him. There's no need to fight him head-on. Suddenly, Li Fuchen's figure turned blurry. All around Su Heishan, transparent and blurry shadows appeared. This was before Li Fuchen circulated the wind shadow steps. If he did, there wouldn't even be a blurry shadow. However, Su Heishan was too strong. If he did not circulate the true Inferno technique and use the wind shadow art instead, it would not be as simple as being heavily injured if he was hit by him. Li Fuchen didn't want to take the risk. With the shadowless intent executed, Li Fuchen's speed was extremely fast. He came and went without a trace, causing Su Heishan's 18 hammer strikes to miss. Although your movement technique is powerful, don't underestimate me. Su Heishan's movement and attack speed increased as well. There were a few swings that forced Li Fuchen to change his form. Su Heishan was after all at the 8th level of the Earth realm. Be it his speed or reaction, they were both extremely strong. He was able to keep up with Li Fuchen's tempo, it was just that he wasn't used to it at the start. Open! With the activation of the mystical dragon secret technique, Li Fuchen's speed increased by another notch. The primary clear hand could only increase the explosive power of one's hands, and it didn't increase one's qigong or leg techniques at all. On the other hand, the mystical dragon secret technique increased one's strength in all aspects. Of course, the mystical dragon secret art could only double his strength in all aspects. On the other hand, the clear origin hand could amplify the strength of one's hand by more than double. When one's strength was on par with the opponent, the primary clear hand would be more useful. When one's strength was weaker, the mystical dragon secret art would be more useful. It depends on the situation. This time, Su Heishan couldn't keep up with Li Fuchen's pace. The shadowless leg didn't just possess speed, it also possessed confusion. In terms of pure speed, Su Heishan might not be inferior to Li Fuchen and might even be superior. Unfortunately, a duel between martial artists was not that simple. No matter how fast you were, if you were bewitched by your opponent, your effective speed would be greatly reduced. Damn it. 18 hammers of the mountain smashing hammers, open. Su Heishan did not like this kind of meticulous battle. He preferred to go all out and clash head-on. The mountain rumbling hammer art's killer move was unleashed. 18 hammer shadows spread out, and under the mutual influence of the forces, dozens of air vortexes were formed in the air. It was a grand sight. This hammer technique was targeted at martial artists who were fast and had ghostly movements. Your Heaven Fiend sect is too impudent. Break for me. Fan Xianxia roared. Su Heishan started fighting over a single disagreement. He didn't even have time to react. By the time he reacted, the two of them were already on the streets. Seeing that Li Fuchen was able to withstand 3 of Su Heishan's moves, Fan Qiansong wasn't in a hurry to help. He took this opportunity to observe Su Heishan's moves. Now that he saw Li Fuchen at an absolute disadvantage, he couldn't bear it any longer. With a flash, he appeared on the main street as well. With a swing of his metal rod, a rain of rods dispersed Su Heishan's hammer shadows. Courting death. This is a matter between my Heaven Fiend sect and the Azure Water sect. Your carefree sect better stay out of it. Su Heishan's expression turned gloomy. Fan Qiansong's ability was extremely formidable. His 18 hammer blast mountain was extremely formidable, but it was actually neutralized by his opponent in a single move. Li Fuchen is my, Fan Qiansong's, benefactor. Finding trouble with Li Fuchen is the same as finding trouble with me. Fan Qiansong spoke coldly. He was a gold-class direct disciple of the Carefree sect. Even if he was only at the 5th level of the Earth realm, his combat ability was still superior to Su Heishan's. Of course, he wasn't as insane as Li Fuchen. If Li Fuchen was at the 5th level of the Earth realm, he would probably be able to kill Su Heishan in a single move. Fu Chongshan, why aren't you making a move? Su Heishan turned his head and spoke to Fu Chongshan, who was on the 3rd floor of the tea house. Fu Chongshan replied, "Why should I make a move?" He didn't have any intention to help the Heaven Fiend sect. Li Wuxia said, "Fu Chongshan, Do you know that during the 100 Herbs hidden domain, more than half of the 10 disciples from your violent saber sect died in the hands of Li Fuchen, including your violent saber sect's prodigy, Xianxia? In actual fact, Li Fuchen didn't kill that many people. It seemed like Li Wuxia was exaggerating. Hearing this, Fu Chongshan looked at Li Fuchen and questioned, "Is there such a thing? So what if it is?" Li Fuchen didn't deny it. Even if he killed more or less, it wouldn't stop Fu Chongshan from making a move. Since that was the case, there wasn't a need to show weakness. "You deserve to die." Fu Chongshan's body flashed as he skimmed towards Li Fuchen. Clang. As the rod and saber clashed, Fan Qiansong took a dozen steps back. He was a gold-class direct disciple and so was Fu Chongshan. But Li Fuchen's cultivation level was 2 levels higher than his. "Brother, let me assist you." Fan Qianyu skimmed down too and landed beside Fan Qiansong and Li Fuchen. "Fan Qiansong, get out of the way." Fu Chongshan stared at Fan Qiansong coldly with a flash of killing intent in his eyes. Fan Qiansong said, "Fu Chongshan, don't forget that I still have an incomplete map with me. Without me, none of you will be able to find the tomb. I can still get it after killing you." Fu Chongshan's killing intent intensified. "Then let's give it a try." Fan Qiansong took a deep breath and released the same killing intent in his eyes. "Fan Qiansong, leave him to me." Li Fuchen had a metal shard in his hand. He had decided that once the battle started again, he would disregard everything and kill the trio from the Heaven Fiend sect and Violent Saber sect. As for the consequences, he couldn't be bothered. Fan Qiansong took a glance at the metal shard in Li Fuchen's hand and made up his mind. He had forgotten that Li Fuchen still had an incredible artifact. "Fu Chongshan, let's attack together and eliminate the 3 of them." Su Heishan spoke in a sinister tone. "That's right. Eliminate them first." In Li Wuxia's hand, there was a blood-colored flag which had a majestic blood qi wave on it. "Enough. I don't care what grudges you have. Find the tomb first. Before we find the tomb, no one is to make a move." Su Muyu stood up and released a gentle qi presence, dispelling everyone's battle intent and killing intent. But how could battle intent and killing intent be so easily dispelled? In the eyes of Su Heishan and the others, the killing intent only dissipated slightly, but not completely. "Do it." Su Heishan insisted on making a move. Presumptuous. It was unknown what secret technique Su Muyu activated, but her body was glowing with a faint radiance. A qi presence that caused all living beings to tremble exploded. Everyone's qi, blood, and vitality seemed to be dissolving. "I will kill whoever dares to make a move." Su Muyu had a jade green scythe in her hand. The scythe wasn't ordinary and had the qi presence to harvest all living beings. "Su Muyu, what is the meaning of this?" Su Muyu was the only existence that made Fu Chongshan apprehensive. He might be at the 7th level of the Earth Realm, but Su Muyu was only at the 4th level of the Earth Realm. But Su Muyu was a 6-star bone frame and was an elite prodigy in the East Unicorn continent. Her combat strength was definitely not inferior to his. Chapter 207. Fu Chongshan, there is no need to be in such a hurry to settle our grudges. The most important thing now is to find the tomb. Once we find the tomb, we won't have any objections even if you fight to the death. Seeing that Rain and Wei Shanhe had spoken, Song Qinghe had no choice but to stand up and speak. Fu Chongshan and Su Heishan had a gloomy expression, especially Li Wuxia, who hated Rain and the others. He had a feeling that if he couldn't kill Li Fuchen now, it would be even harder in the future. "Damn it. Wait till I, Li Wuxia, grow stronger. I want all of you to die." Li Wuxia cursed in his heart. Letting out a heavy breath, Su Heishan said, "Little b asterisk 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 d, I will let you off first. Once we find the tomb, I will make sure you have nowhere to run." It wasn't wise to make a move now. With the strength of the 3 of them, they weren't a match for everyone here. Clang. Sheathing his long saber, Fu Chongshan said, "I have to say, you are in luck. But once my saber is unsheathed, it must see blood. Since I didn't see any blood this time, Next time, I will make you pay double the price of death. In his eyes, Li Fuchen was already a dead man. Since he was a dead man, it didn't matter when he died. Perhaps it would be more satisfying to keep him alive for the next kill. Li Fuchen didn't say anything harsh. Harsh words wouldn't allow him to kill them. The following trip to the tomb was an opportunity to kill the three of them. As for whether or not he could kill them, it wasn't his concern. Closing his eyes, Li Fuchen withdrew his chi presence, as though nothing had happened. Sensing Li Fuchen's expression, Rain let out a smirk. Su Heishan, Fu Chongshan, and the other two were in for it. A true vicious beast would never bluff. The moment they bared their fangs, it would be the moment of your death. Of course, it would be extremely difficult for Li Fuchen to kill the three of them. He might even be killed by them. In this world, who could see the future clearly? Very well. After finding the tomb, your matters have nothing to do with me. Since everyone is here, let's combine the maps and depart. Rain signaled to Wei Shanhe. Hearing this, Wei Shanhe took out the incomplete map and said, "This map is very complicated and no one can remember it. Let's combine the maps first to determine the general direction." Just as everyone was merging the maps, there was a large group of patrolling soldiers on the streets. There were also 4 peak stage Earth Realm martial artists. "Everyone, I don't care who you are. Since you have destroyed Fog City's buildings, you will have to compensate according to the law. Otherwise, don't blame my Mystic Tools sect for enforcing the law." One of the peak stage Earth Realm martial artists said. In the realm of 100 battles, some cities had sects stationed in them, while others didn't. Fog City's location was special, and it was occupied by the Mystic Tools sect. Of course, it was not impossible to occupy a city, but they had to be able to keep it. If they couldn't keep it, there would be no point in occupying it. Furthermore, a sect would have to send a lot of experts to settle down in a certain city. If these experts were killed by an enemy sect, it would be a huge blow to the sect. All in all, only powerful sects would dare to occupy cities in the realm of 100 battles. The majority of the cities were governed by local powers. However, these cities had to pay taxes to the various sections. Every year, the Azure Water sect would send people to the 100 battle region to collect taxes from the cities that didn't have an owner. "How much?" Fan Qiansong asked. A peak stage Earth Realm martial artist sized up the tea house and street. The tea house is 50,000 gold coins, the street is 50,000 gold coins. Here is 50,000 gold coins. Li Fuchen took out a gold card with 50,000 gold coins from his storage bag and tossed it over. Here is 50,000 gold coins too. Su Heishan also tossed over a gold card with 50,000 gold coins. After receiving the gold cards, the 4 peak stage Earth Realm martial artists waved their hands. "Let's go." As long as they didn't kill anyone, direct disciples of the sect had special privileges in Fog City. They could leave after handing over the gold coins. If it was a martial artist without any background, they would be thrown into jail first. To the west of Fog City, there was a short mountain. The short mountain was shrouded in a thick fog, like a giant that was gradually moving away. Standing on top of the short mountain, Wei Shanhe frowned. "The fog is too thick. It isn't that easy to find the marker on the map. Since we have this map, we will definitely be able to find the tomb." Song Qing has said. On the map, the short mountain was the first marker. Next, they had to find the second marker. Only after finding 5 markers in a row would the route to the tomb appear. The second marker is a lake. "Let's follow the stream and we might be able to find the lake." Su Muyu looked at the foot of the mountain. Near the waist of the mountain, there was a small waterfall. The water from the waterfall converged into a stream and flowed into the distance. Under the thick fog, it wasn't clear, but with everyone's senses, they could still sense it. The stream was very long and there seemed to be a mysterious force guiding the water. Fan Qiansong, Fan Qinyu, and Li Fuchen were secretly communicating with each other. "Li Fuchen, if we find the tomb, the 3 of us will work together to kill one of them. My brother is right. The ability of the 3 of them is superior to us on the surface. Only by killing one of them will it be beneficial for us. Actually, you don't have to interfere. I have already repaid the favor of me saving your life with this trip to the tomb. What are you saying? I, Fan Xianxia, am not someone who is afraid of death. It doesn't matter who owes whom, Fan Xianxia, have already treated you as a friend. Since we are friends, I will naturally sacrifice myself. This has nothing to do with other matters. Friends, huh? Many thanks. Li Fuchen made up his mind to not let the two of them fall into danger. At the same time, Su Heishan, Li Wuxia, and Fu Chongshan were also secretly communicating with each other. The moment we find the tomb, we will eliminate the weakest Fan Qinyu. Even if the remaining two fight head-on, they won't be able to defeat us. Su Heishan suggested. Fu Chongshan nodded. That's right. This is the best plan. After all, our overall ability is superior to theirs. They were confident that they could eliminate either Fan Qiansong or Li Fuchen in an instant, but they didn't have absolute confidence. Following the stream, the group arrived at a lake. It was unknown how big this lake was, but the surface of the lake was covered in fog. According to the map, the third marker is a huge waterfall. Could the waterfall be at the end of the lake? Every marker on the map had a connection with each other. The stream on the short mountain led to the lake. Between the lake and the waterfall, there must be some connection. Let's build the boats first. None of them were indecisive individuals. One by one, they used whatever materials they could find and built the boats. In just a short moment, 4 boats were built. Li Fuchen and the other 2 stood on one of the boats. Activating their qi, the boat quickly sailed towards the depths of the lake. After a few hours, everyone could hear the sound of the waterfall. It was rumbling like thunder. With their senses, they could see that the end of the lake was obviously a huge waterfall. Below the waterfall was a bottomless abyss. Go down. Su Muyu didn't slow down the speed of the boat. Swish, swish, swish. The 4 boats rushed out of the lake and soared into the sky before descending. When they felt the water below them, everyone stepped on the boats and used the momentum to fly. Landing at the side of the water, what appeared in front of them was a huge canyon. And this canyon was obviously the 4th marker. This is indeed the land of fog. I wonder how many secrets are hidden here. Li Fuchen lamented. Chapter 208. The fog in the Grand Canyon was denser than anywhere else. It was so dense that one couldn't even see their fingers in front of them. Even with everyone's perception, they could only sense a radius of a few dozen meters. Beyond a few dozen meters, they couldn't sense anything. As the group walked along the Grand Canyon, the sky gradually darkened. As the fog intertwined with the night sky, everyone's perception dropped again. This walk lasted for an entire night. The next morning, the rays of the morning sun might not be able to penetrate the fog, but it gave the fog a milky white color. After some time, they arrived at the end of the canyon. It was said to be the end, but no one knew if it was really the end. All they knew was that a whirlpool of fog appeared in front of them. This whirlpool of fog was massive and completely obstructed their path. It was impossible to pass through it. Could the fog of the land of fog originate from here? Li Fuchen guessed. Fan Qiansong shook his head. The land of fog is much more mysterious than you can imagine. This whirlpool of fog can be found in other places in the land of fog. The largest whirlpool is like a white sun suspended in the sky. No one knew how the fog appeared, just like how no one knew what happened a few hundred years ago. After a slight hesitation, the group stepped into the whirlpool of fog. There wasn't any dizziness or any abnormalities. They passed through the whirlpool of fog and arrived at a world without fog. Looking back, there was only thick fog, but the fog vortex was gone. Such a mystical place. Li Fuchen's eyes revealed confusion and astonishment. Creak creak. An ear-piercing sound made everyone's ears bleed and felt dizzy. Everyone quickly revolved their qi to protect their ears. Lifting their heads, they saw a huge bat-like demonic beast flying towards them. Class 3 high-tier demonic beast. Giant bat beast. Class 3 high-tier demonic beasts had different ability levels, just like the difference between a normal person and a prodigy. The giant bat beast was an elite Class 3 high-tier demonic beast. The difficulty of killing it was similar to passing the third floor of the direct inheritance tower. If it was a one-on-one fight, no one here was a match for it. Only someone on the level of emotionless sword Xuefeng could kill the giant bat beast. And it had to be Xuefeng who passed the third floor of the direct inheritance tower. It's the giant bat beast, kill it quickly. Wei Shanhe knew of the giant bat beast's prowess and quickly released a chi force at the giant bat beast. Hearing this, the rest of the people quickly released their energy. The giant bat beast was extremely fast. If he did not kill it, he would not be able to focus on finding the tomb. 11 streaks of energy shot through the air. Except, the giant bat beast was incomparably agile. Its figure drew out one arc after another in the air, easily avoiding the 11 streams of energy. Creak. A sound wave visible to the naked eye rushed over, and everyone felt as if their heads were about to explode. The speed and range of the sound wave was too wide, even Rain couldn't dodge it in time. Everyone, disperse. Rain executed her movement technique and took the lead to float dozens of meters away. Wei Shanhe followed closely behind. In the blink of an eye, everyone was divided into 4 groups and attacked the giant bat beast from 4 different angles. The giant bat beast was very crafty and knew the logic of taking them down one by one. It was the first to dive towards Li Fuchen and the others. It was obvious that it intended to engage in hand-to-hand combat. After all, this was a demonic beast's fort. Get lost. Fan Qiansong waved his metal rod, and a rain of rods enveloped the giant bat beast. Crackle. Like the sound of the rain hitting the pipa, the giant bat beast didn't dodge or evade. It took the full brunt of the attack. Traces of wounds appeared on its body, but they were just superficial wounds. Its claws then clawed at Fan Qiansong. Once it clawed, Fan Qiansong would surely die. Brother! Fan Qianyu's weapon was a pair of Mandarin duck battle axes. With a swing, countless blades slashed at the giant bat beast. Get lost! Fan Qiansong had already prepared his kill move the moment the giant bat beast swooped down. Executing the rotating flow sword style, a ring of flames crashed onto the giant bat beast, causing it to pause for a moment. Using this split second, Fan Qiansong dodged. At the same time, Fan Qianyu's attack landed on the giant bat beast. Attack quickly! Wei Shanhe, Song Qinghe, and Li Wuxia unleashed a torrent of attacks. Only Fu Chongshan, Su Heishan, and Li Wuxia didn't put in much effort. They couldn't wait for Li Fuchen's group to be killed by the giant bat beast. A jade-green blade light flashed. It was unknown when Su Muyu appeared on the right side of the giant bat beast. She brandished her jade-green scythe and nearly severed the giant bat beast's wing, causing fresh blood to spurt out. Such strength. I'm afraid she isn't far from emotionless sword Xuefeng. Li Fuchen's eyes shrank. Su Muyu's ability was undoubtedly the second strongest Earth Realm martial artist he had ever seen. The first was emotionless sword Xuefeng. Of course, this was mainly because he didn't meet many Earth Realm martial artists. He had never met Sword Maniac or Sword Tiger before. The giant bat beast staggered. Under the inertia of the dive, it couldn't flap its wings and flew. It fell hard onto the ground and slid. The giant bat beast that fell onto the ground was considered decent if it could utilize 30% to 40% of its original ability. Under the chaotic attacks of the group, it was quickly killed. After dissecting its stomach, there wasn't any demon core. Following that, the group encountered a few more Class 3 high-tier demonic beasts. Some were strong while some were weak. But with everyone working together, it was enough to kill an existence like emotionless sword Xuefeng. Without the fog, the route on the map came into effect. After half a day, the group finally found the entrance to the tomb. The entrance was a small hill. The entire hill seemed to have been hollowed out and was used to construct a huge metal door. There were 2 pillars outside the door. Die! In just a split second, Li Fuchen's side and Li Wuxia's side made their move. Li Fuchen's group's target was Su Heishan, while Li Wuxia's group's target was Fan Qianyu. But what they didn't expect was that Li Fuchen's group seemed to know that their target was Fan Qianyu. Hence, they formed a formation with 2 at the front and 1 at the back. Li Fuchen and Fan Qiansong were at the front, while Fan Qianyu was at the back. The three of them formed an inverted triangle. The first wave of attack was very simple. The six of them each threw out their own lethal items. Li Fuchen threw out dozens of sky blast bombs, which were worth a few 100,000 contribution points. Fan Qiansong and Fan Qianyu threw out metal balls one after another. These metal balls would explode the moment they came into contact with unstable air currents, shooting out countless of steel balls. These scarlet steel balls were like tiny meteors that carried a strong penetrative force. On the opposite side, Fu Chongshan and the other two threw out sky blast bombs. The Azure Water Sect, Violent Saber Sect, and Heaven Fiend Sect were located in the same region. Closer to this region was a formidable sect called the Thunderbolt Sect. The Thunderbolt Sect specialized in producing firearms. Thunderbolt bombs and Sky Blast bombs were all firearms produced by the Thunderbolt Sect. The three major sects would frequently visit the Thunderbolt Sect to purchase a batch of firearms. Of course, the highest firearms that the Thunderbolt Sect sold to the outside world was the Sky Blast bomb. The power of a single Sky Blast bomb could easily blast a regular low-leveled Earth Realm martial artist to death. Rumble. Intense explosions echoed continuously. Within a radius of 100 meters, it was filled with bursting flames and spitting tongues of flame. Along with the random shooting of scarlet-red steel balls, the ground was riddled with holes. Su Muyu and her group had already retreated from this region. After taking a quick glance, they didn't have any interest to continue watching and walked towards the metal door. The smoke dispersed. In front of the metal door, it was a mess. A few dozen meters away, Li Fuchen and the other two were each wielding a large shield, forming a hemisphere to cover their bodies. On the opposite side, Fu Chongshan and the other two were in a sorry state. Chapter 209. It was obvious that both sides didn't achieve their objective. The Carefree Sect's Origin Break Bomb might be incredible and specialized in breaking chi protection, but the steel beads were too small. Unless dozens of them hit the enemy at the same time, it would be hard to kill the enemy. In terms of power, it wasn't comparable to the Sky Blast Thunder. Of course, there were pros and cons. The Sky Blast Thunder might be powerful, but it was easy to defend. A Mystic-class shield would basically guarantee that the wearer wouldn't receive too much damage. Both sides were just probing each other with this attack. They didn't use their trump cards. But even if it was a test, regular people wouldn't be able to withstand it. The six of them had tossed out a total of a few million gold coins. If they were used against regular low-leveled Earth Realm martial artists, it would be enough to kill a few hundred of them. Just as the six of them were preparing to fight again, creak. Rain and her group used an unknown method to open the metallic door. Boundless blue radiance gushed out from the metallic door and drowned Rain and her group. It also drowned Li Fuchen's group. The boundless blue radiance retracted and the metallic door closed. Everyone vanished. This is the interior of the tomb? In the dusky stone hall, Li Fuchen appeared. He lifted his head and looked around. The stone hall was extremely ancient and probably had a history of a few hundred years. There was a giant lamp that was around 8 meters above his head. When Li Fuchen appeared, flames started to burn and emitted a cold and resplendent radiance. Is the tomb of a Reincarnation realm martial artist so mystical? Li Fuchen expressed his doubts. It was already extraordinary to be able to construct a tomb in the land of fog. The blue radiance that appeared earlier was probably beyond the capability of a Reincarnation realm martial artist. Li Fuchen extended his hand and drew one of the flames from the lamp. The layer of qi that Li Fuchen set up was immediately burned through by the flames. The egg-sized flame landed on the ground and didn't even produce a single spark. It was a blue flame and it was extremely pure like a crystal. In the center of the flame was a drop of blue viscous liquid. Could this be the blood of the Class 6 demonic beast, Blue Flame Desolate Blood Beast? Li Fuchen was bewildered. He had seen an ancient demonic beast guide. It recorded extremely powerful demonic beasts, and one of them was the Blue Flame Desolate Blood Beast. The Blue Flame Desolate Blood Beast's body was shrouded in blue flames. A single wisp of flame could incinerate a Reincarnation realm cultivator. Even after the Blue Flame Desolate Blood Beast died, the flames on its corpse wouldn't extinguish until its blood dried up. The Class 6 demonic beast, Blue Flame Desolate Blood Beast, was a formidable existence that could kill a Reincarnation realm martial artist with a single breath. But this tomb was actually using its blood as fuel to provide light. Even if someone told Li Fuchen that this tomb was a Reincarnation realm martial artist tomb, Li Fuchen wouldn't believe it. Li Fuchen wanted to keep this flame, but he could only slightly guide the flame, unable to control the flame. Once his true spirit got close to the flame, it would immediately be burned into nothingness. The next moment, a strange suction force came from the lamp, and the blue flame was drawn back to one of the lamps. I wonder what level of expert this tomb belongs to. Li Fuchen was very curious. When the super expert disappeared, the records about them were also vague. Perhaps the shedding body realm martial artist could access more information, but the rest of the people undoubtedly knew nothing. There was nothing special in the hall, so Li Fuchen walked out. The graveyard was huge, and there were many passageways that made it look like a maze. After an unknown period of time, Li Fuchen discovered a room. Just as he was about to enter the room, he was sent flying. Li Fuchen frowned and pressed his right hand towards the void at the entrance. An invisible and untouchable wall blocked Li Fuchen's palm. When Li Fuchen pressed down with force, it was still elastic and caused Li Fuchen's palm to go numb. Could this be a martial Dao intent? Li Fuchen's heart shivered. Earth-class martial Dao intents could exist independently from martial arts. It was obvious that there was a defense intent at the entrance of the room. If Li Fuchen didn't break this defense intent, he wouldn't be able to enter the room. Li Fuchen drew his black gold sword and thrust at the void at the entrance. The void distorted and the powerful elasticity made Li Fuchen's footing unstable. There is a reaction. Li Fuchen was delighted. Since there was a reaction, it meant that he could break this defense intent. Starfire sword intent. Rotating flow sword intent. Li Fuchen realized that in order to break the defense intent, he had to use his own intent to wear it down. If he didn't use his intent, he wouldn't be able to shake this defense intent. 1 hour later, the defense intent was finally broken by Li Fuchen. Walking into the room, Li Fuchen saw a long table, and in the center of the table was a beast pelt scroll. It should be a martial arts manual. Li Fuchen walked over, picked up the beast pelt scroll and opened it. Primary elixir technique, mystic class, mid-tier technique. Upon completion, the body will be able to form a chi primary elixir. It can extend one's lifespan and allow one to easily live past 100 years old. Looking at the introduction on the beast pelt scroll, Li Fuchen raised his brows. Techniques that could extend one's lifespan were considered rare. Most of the techniques pursued lethality and explosive power. It was a huge pressure on the human body. Unless one was at the reincarnation realm, 100 years of age was basically the limit. Like the true Inferno technique, it was extremely taxing on the human body. Those who didn't cultivate a body refinement technique would never be able to cultivate it. If not, they would self-immolate before they could even cultivate it. The yellow class, peak tier, 3 elements technique that I gave to father and mother previously is still too low grade. This primary elixir technique is just right for them to cultivate. Although father and mother weren't at the Earth realm yet, they would definitely become Earth realm martial artists in the future. As for Earth realm martial artists, if they cultivated yellow class, peak tier techniques, they would need many years to advance by 1 level. But with a mystic class, mid-tier technique, it would be a different story. The cultivation speed would be greatly increased. Keeping the beast pelt scroll, Li Fuchen walked out of the room. At the same time, in other places of the tomb, everyone else came across the first room. Except for Rain, the rest of them didn't grasp any mystic class, mid-tier intent. Within a short period of time, they wouldn't be able to break the defense intent at the entrance of the room. As Li Fuchen was walking, he suddenly heard a voice coming from the front. Damn it, why is this defense intent so tough? It has already been 2 hours and it still hasn't been broken. Su Heishan was enraged. The meteor hammer in his hand was frenziedly striking at the air, producing a thunderous sound. His ears twitching, Su Heishan quickly turned his head. A black light pierced through the air and vanished in an instant. Danger! Su Heishan's scalp went numb as he shifted his body by an inch. Fresh blood spurted out from his back as the black light struck the wall of the tunnel, letting out a crisp clang. Die! A figure rushed at him. It was Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen, you are courting death. Su Heishan was severely injured, but he was still an 8th-level Earth Realm martial artist. He quickly used his metal rod to block. Resplendent sparks burst out as Su Heishan flew backwards, vomiting large mouthfuls of fresh blood. Li Fuchen wasn't disappointed that he wasn't able to kill Su Heishan easily. Previously, he was able to kill the Silvercloth sect's Lu Guangfeng because he didn't detect Li Fuchen's presence. But this time, Su Heishan sensed the danger in advance and shifted his body by an inch. If not, his heart would have been pierced by the metal shard. Li Fuchen, you dare to kill me. My Heaven Fiend sect will not let you off. Su Heishan's expression was filled with hatred and panic. Chapter 210. If I don't kill you, will your Heaven Fiend sect let me off? Li Fuchen laughed as though he was looking at an idiot. A person's strength of character would be completely exposed at the moment of death. An expert must not only be strong, but also have a strong heart. Clearly, Su Heishan was not an expert. He was just a weakling who used his power to bully others. If you kill me, you will completely offend the Heaven Fiend sect. I hope you don't make a mistake. Su Heishan's injuries were very serious. That metal shard was extremely powerful, and if he guessed correctly, that metal shard should be an Earth-grade weapon shard. Furthermore, it was not an ordinary one. In the face of death, the only thing Su Heishan could do was to threaten Li Fuchen. Even if you talk your way out today, you won't be able to escape death. Li Fuchen walked step by step towards Su Heishan. Li Fuchen, if you kill me, no one in this world can save you. My Heaven Fiend sect will exterminate your entire clan. Su Heishan gritted his teeth and retreated step by step. You still dare to threaten me when you're about to die? When Su Heishan wasn't injured, Li Fuchen was slightly weaker than him. But now that Su Heishan was severely injured, Li Fuchen didn't have to fear him. Executing the Starfire sword style, the sky was filled with starfire. Seal! Su Heishan spun the metal rod in his hand, and the meteor hammer that was connected to the chain spun at a high speed. It was like a huge windmill, blocking off the sparks. Unfortunately, Su Heishan was heavily injured, and his defense was no longer as tight. 2 streaks of starfire broke through his defensive perimeter. In an instant, a fist-sized charred hole appeared on Su Heishan's abdomen and left shoulder. Li Fuchen, please don't kill me. I know I was wrong. From now on, I will never be your enemy again. I swear. Su Heishan was afraid. He hadn't lived long enough. He still had a bright future ahead of him. Once he died, he would have nothing left. Li Fuchen's eyes were cold and his sword moves were getting more and more ruthless. Pu. Fist-sized charred and bloody holes appeared on Su Heishan's body. Li Fuchen, I curse you to die a horrible death. Finally, at the moment his life force dissipated, Su Heishan despaired and let out a venomous roar. Sheathing the long sword, Li Fuchen slowly let out a breath. The path of the martial Dao was filled with hardships and slaughter. No one could reach the pinnacle of martial arts without a hitch. In the future, there would be no lack of such killings. There will be more and more of them. But Li Fuchen wasn't afraid. With a suction force, Su Heishan's storage bag landed in Li Fuchen's hand. Xianxia infused his junqi into the storage pouch and opened it. There were a few golden cards, quite a few pills, and a crystalline stone that emanated resplendent starlight. This stone. Li Fuchen searched for useful memories. Soon, a name appeared. The Star Stone was the key to enter the Star Road's secret domain. It was said that star stones came from the heavens. When a meteor shower appeared over the realm of 100 battles, 1 or more star stones might fall from the sky. In the 100-battle region, martial artists would pick up star stones by chance. As star stones were only useful for Earth realm martial artists who were below the age of 35, some martial artists who didn't meet the requirements would auction the star stones. They would often be auctioned off for a high price of hundreds of thousands or even millions of gold coins, becoming rich overnight. This Su Heishan actually has a star stone. His luck isn't bad. A pity that he has luck but not fate. It is all for naught. Li Fuchen had never entered the Star Road's secret domain before. After this trip to the tomb, he intended to enter the Star Road's secret domain to take a look. Keeping the storage bag, Li Fuchen looked at the door of the room. Without a doubt, there was a defense intent set up at the door of this room. Had it not been for attacking this defense intent, Su Heishan wouldn't have been able to sneak attack by Li Fuchen. 1 hour later, Li Fuchen broke the defense intent and entered the room. Just like the room that Li Fuchen entered before, this room also had a long table. In the center of the table was a beast pelt scroll. Opening it up to take a look. Life Spring Technique, 3-star secret technique. Able to stimulate one's life force potential and instantly recover a portion of injuries. Too domineering, use with caution. It is actually a recuperation secret technique? Li Fuchen's eyes flashed with delight. On the path of cultivation, injuries were inevitable. Minor injuries could be ignored, but severe injuries would definitely affect the martial artist's state. If one cultivated the Life Spring technique, they would be able to instantly recover a portion of injuries. To a certain extent, the effects weren't inferior to 4-star or 5-star secret techniques. Of course, everything has its pros and cons. Every activation of the Life Spring technique would deplete one's life force. Once the life force was depleted, the lifespan would naturally be depleted as well. It could be said that the Life Spring technique overdraft one's life force to recover from injuries. Even so, this 3-star secret technique was still very precious. If one lost their life, who would care about that little bit of life force? As long as one was still alive, there would be endless possibilities. With this secret technique, it is the same as having half an extra life. Li Fuchen solemnly kept the beast pelt scroll of the Life Spring technique. What Li Fuchen didn't know was that not long after he left, the dead Su Heishan opened his eyes. His eyes were fixed on Li Fuchen and the sclera of his eyes had turned completely black while his pupils had turned white, which was the opposite of a normal person. His flesh squirmed as the charred wounds on Su Heishan's body began to heal. In just a short moment, he was completely recovered. Kiki, it feels great to have a body. But this body is still too weak and needs to be nourished. Su Heishan licked his lips. His tongue was half a foot long. Li Fuchen. When Li Fuchen arrived at a passage, he saw Fan Qianyu. Fan Qianyu saw Li Fuchen too. Still not broken? Li Fuchen asked. Fan Qianyu nodded. This defense intent needs to be worn down by one's own intent. My intent is too weak. Let me help you. Li Fuchen drew his black gold sword and used the Starfire sword intent to attack the defense intent. In just a short moment, the defense intent crumbled. Many thanks. Fan Qianyu's eyes lit up. She could already feel that this tomb wasn't a Reincarnation realm martial artist tomb, but a Battle Spirit realm martial artist tomb. The items in the tomb of a Battle Spirit realm martial artist were definitely good stuff. You go in first. I will wait for you outside, Li Fuchen said. All right. Fan Qianyu walked in. A moment later, Fan Qianyu walked out and waved the beast pelt scroll in her hand. This is a 3-star secret technique called the face nurturing technique. It can maintain one's youthful appearance. It seems the tomb owner knows how to maintain his health. Li Fuchen laughed. The primary pill technique, life spring technique, and face nurturing technique were all related to life force. What secret technique did you obtain? Fan Qianyu asked. Li Fuchen replied, I obtained a mystic class, mid-tier technique, the primary pill technique and a 3-star secret technique, the life spring technique. The latter can instantly recover a portion of injuries, but it requires life force. Once we get out, we will cultivate it together. The life spring technique might be precious, but it wasn't necessary to monopolize it. But he had to make an agreement with Fan Qiansong and Fan Qianyu to not reveal the contents of the secret technique to a fourth person. Do you think there will be a 4-star or 5-star secret technique in the tomb? Fan Qianyu asked. Chapter 211. The graveyard was huge and it was already a stroke of luck for them to bump into Fan Qianyu. For the next 2 hours, both of them didn't bump into anyone else. Correspondingly, they didn't even see a single room. The deeper they went, the more they lost their sense of direction. He could only follow his feelings. Another 2 hours passed, and the two of them finally met someone. Unfortunately, he was the last person they wanted to see. This place seemed to be one of the central areas of the graveyard. It extended in all directions and occupied a vast area of about 100 meters. In one of the passageways that connected to the central area, Fu Chongshan and Li Wuxia slowly walked in. Li Fuchen, I have to say that your luck is really bad. Encountering me again and again, it seems like even the heavens want to take care of you. Li Wuxia took out a small blood-colored flag from his storage bag. The blood color rippled as he grinned sinisterly. Li Fuchen said, "It is still unknown who will emerge victorious. Perhaps, you will be the ones to die." Shameless boasting. Even if you have plenty of artifacts, you will not be able to escape death today. Fu Chongshan stared at Li Fuchen as though he was looking at a dead man. In his eyes, Li Fuchen was a dead man. If Fan Qiansong was here, there might be some twists and turns. But with Li Fuchen around, there wouldn't be any twists and turns. Fu Chongshan, I shall leave Li Fuchen to you. Leave Fan Qianyu to me. Li Wuxia was rather tactful. He might have plenty of precious artifacts, but his personal ability wasn't high and it was hard for him to utilize the power of his artifacts to the limit. He didn't dare to guarantee that he would be able to deal with Li Fuchen, but it should be more than enough to deal with Fan Qianyu. Don't worry, I only need 10 strikes. Fu Chongshan said confidently. In fact, if Li Fuchen didn't have any artifacts, he would only need 3 sabers to eliminate Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen transmitted a message to Fan Qianyu, leave first. He didn't wish for Fan Qianyu to fall into a dangerous situation. Since it was his own problem, he would take care of it himself. After all, Fan Qianyu wasn't Fan Qiansong and her strength was relatively weaker. If anything were to happen to her, he wouldn't be able to answer to Fan Qiansong. Fan Qianyu shook her head. A life and death battle is also a form of training for me. Furthermore, I have some treasures, so I might be able to deal with Li Wuxia. She was at the 4th level of the Earth Realm while Li Wuxia was at the 3rd level of the Earth Realm. If he were to escape before the fight even started, then what was the point of her cultivation? Then be careful. Li Fuchen didn't try to persuade them anymore, because Fu Chongshan and Li Wuxia were preparing to make their move. If he continued to persuade them, it would only cause chaos. Fan Qianyu nodded and a pair of crescent moon axes appeared in her hands. Kill! Li Wuxia was the first to attack Fan Qianyu. With a wave of the blood-colored flag in his hand, boundless blood qi gushed towards Fan Qianyu like a waterfall. The blood-red flag was obviously a special weapon. It could greatly increase a martial artist's strength, much more than an ordinary weapon. Moreover, the blood-red flag's grade was not low. It was at least a high-rank profound rank. Fan Qianyu brandished the Meridian Mandarin duck axe with both of her hands. The sky was filled with blades of light that danced and slashed at the blood qi. I advise you to surrender. That way, I can still leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, you won't even be able to keep your corpse intact. Without looking at Li Wuxia and Fan Qianyu, Fu Chongshan spoke to Li Fuchen coldly. Li Fuchen said, "Do you think it is possible?" While speaking, Li Fuchen instantly activated the mystical dragon secret technique. The true inferno qi within his body was transmuted into the magma-like mystical dragon qi. Fu Chongshan slashed with his saber. This slash was incomparably fast and ruthless, as if it was going to cut through the void. Kacha! The pebbles on the ground flew in all directions as Fu Chongshan's saber missed. Fu Chongshan could obviously feel that Li Fuchen's speed was much faster than when he fought with Su Heishan in Dense Fog City. Light body technique intent and leg arts intent. Fu Chongshan frowned. With 2 intents stacked together, the increase in speed and agility wasn't just 1 or 2 points, it was more than double. Revolving the wind shadow steps and executing the shadowless leg, the current Li Fuchen was no different from a ghost. Be it the ground, the walls, or the ceiling, It was as though he was walking on flat ground. There was no obstruction or delay. With the wind shadow intent and shadowless intent intertwined, Li Fuchen could no longer feel the existence of weight. The reason why he gave up on revolving the true Inferno technique was because Fu Chongshan's ability was too strong. If he were to clash head-on, there was no chance of victory. Why not take a risk and revolve the wind shadow steps to increase his speed and agility? He believed that within a short period of time, he wouldn't be hit by a single saber. I am not Su Heishan. If you think you can render me helpless, then you are gravely mistaken. Fu Chongshan's body didn't move. His ears and eyes were using their senses to sense Li Fuchen's movement trajectory. Fu Chongshan cleaved at the void. In the void, a figure appeared, but quickly flew backwards and dodged the saber. Swish, 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 swish. Fu Chongshan consecutively cleaved at the void for a dozen times, each blade landing on Li Fuchen's movement trajectory. Fortunately, Li Fuchen's reaction was fast enough and was able to detect Fu Chongshan's saber trajectory in advance. 10 sabers have passed. Li Fuchen's voice echoed from all directions. Fu Chongshan snorted and didn't have a pleasant expression. Inescapable net stance. Fu Chongshan executed his kill move. Once the saber move was executed, the void was filled with saber lights. Like a dense net, it sealed off all directions of Li Fuchen. At this moment, Li Fuchen's senses were pushed to the limits. His body either shifted horizontally, twisted, or folded. In an instant he executed at least 7 or 8 movements. Crackle crackle. The saber net sliced the ground into pieces of gravel, but Li Fuchen wasn't injured at all. Impossible? Fu Chongshan got a shock. He had never seen anyone who could dodge his inescapable net stance. Even if there was, it shouldn't be Li Fuchen, but an expert like Rain. Li Fuchen's eyes were bright. Fu Chongshan's inescapable net stance might seem flawless, but in fact, there was a difference in the order of the saber lights. They weren't executed at the same time. If they were executed at the same time, Li Fuchen wouldn't be able to dodge them. This is the time. Li Fuchen's eyes burst with killing intent. A crossbow appeared in his hand and the devil break arrow was already knocked on the bowstring. Pouring chi into the bow, the devil break arrow was shot out. Not good. Fu Chongshan's hair stood up. Executing a kill move had its pros and cons. He needed time to store his energy and also needed time to recover his chi. Now that he was recovering his chi, his movements were undoubtedly slower than usual. Shatter. Without enough time to use his saber to block, Fu Chongshan's chi protection rapidly thickened and reached a thickness of 1 foot. It was like a chi wall, blocking the devil break arrow. The devil break arrow specialized in breaking chi protection. A single arrow pierced through Fu Chongshan's chi protection and penetrated deep into his body, causing fresh blood to splatter. Li Fuchen, I want you dead. Fu Chongshan howled miserably as countless saber lights shrouded Li Fuchen again. The effect isn't bad. Li Fuchen quickly dodged. The reason why he didn't use the Earth-class weapon shard was because he wasn't confident in it. But the devil break arrow wasn't as important. As long as he could find the flaw of his opponent, a single arrow would be able to penetrate his chi protection. All of a sudden, a saber light flew over. It was so fast that it was like a flickering light. Li Fuchen tried his best to dodge, but was still grazed by the saber light, causing blood to flow out from his left chest. When he looked at Fu Chongshan again, Fu Chongshan's chi presence was raised to a new peak. It was obvious that Fu Chongshan had activated his secret technique. Chapter 212. Fu Chongshan was too conceited. He thought he didn't need to activate his secret technique to deal with Li Fuchen and that he could finish Li Fuchen within 10 blades. The truth gave him a harsh slap on the face. After activating the 3-star secret technique, his strength increased dramatically, and so did the speed of the blade. Li Fuchen, who was caught off guard, was instantly hit. If it wasn't for his quick reaction, this blade was enough to split him into 2 halves. He didn't revolve the true Inferno technique, and his body protection chi was extremely weak. Quickly consuming a mystic class, low-tier recuperation pill, Li Fuchen pushed his speed to the limits and narrowly dodged the second saber from Fu Chongshan's secret technique. Bang! Li Fuchen threw out a large amount of white miasma bombs, causing a thick smoke to pervade the air. Scatter! Fu Chongshan's left hand was like an enraged dragon, coiling the smoke and blasting towards a passage. Huff, huff, huff! A violent gale blew away the thick smoke in just a few breaths. Fu Chongshan's ability was too strong. The Devil Break arrow might have injured him, but it wasn't considered a serious injury and had a limited effect on his ability. With the secret technique activated, his ability didn't decrease but increased instead, forcing Li Fuchen into a perilous situation. While his wounds were slowly healing, Li Fuchen's heart sank. It was imaginable that the effects of the Devil Break arrow would be minimal. Now that his opponent was on guard, he wouldn't give him much of a chance. But if he were to use the Earth-class weapon shard, he would only have one chance. If it didn't work, there wouldn't be another chance. On the other side, Fan Qinyu was also at a disadvantage. The blood-colored flag in Li Wushue's hand was too incredible. It seemed like it contained a tremendous amount of energy. With just a little bit of qi, it could burst out with a terrifying power. Without a choice, Fan Qinyu kept the Meridian Mandarin Duck Axe and took out a steel umbrella. The steel umbrella was also a special weapon that could be used for both offense and defense. For a short period of time, it wasn't a problem. Another wound appeared on Li Fuchen's body as fresh blood splattered. In the face of an absolute saber speed, no matter how elusive one's body technique was, it was useless. One had to know that Fu Chongshan was not Su Heishan. Su Heishan was only a silver-class direct disciple, while Fu Chongshan was a gold-class direct disciple. Regardless of cultivation technique realm, secret technique realm, or martial arts realm, Fu Chongshan was much higher than Su Heishan. Why can't I kill him? Fu Chongshan was also a little anxious. Even though the devil-piercing arrow didn't injure him severely, his injuries weren't light either. If he were to continue fighting, his injuries would become serious sooner or later. Once he was seriously injured, all his attributes would deteriorate, especially his reaction speed. Li Fuchen had been enduring and refraining from shooting the Earth-class weapon shard. He needed a chance to heavily injure his opponent. As for whether or not he could kill his opponent, he no longer held any hope. After all, an Earth-grade weapon fragment was just a fragment. It wasn't some kind of ultimate treasure. Being able to heavily injure the other party was already a success. Skynet style. Fu Chongshan unleashed another killer move. Storm of the City. The pole rain descended and clashed with Fu Chongshan's killer move. After a series of explosions, the rain of rods that filled the sky dissipated, and the web-like saber light dimmed a lot, full of flaws. It was Fan Qiansong. Fan Qiansong, who was at the 5th level of the Earth realm, was much stronger than Li Fuchen in a direct confrontation. If he mustered his full strength, he would still be able to clash head-on once or twice. With no time to lose, while Fan Qiansong was blocking Fu Chongshan's killer move, Li Fuchen swung his arm and shot out the metal shard. A black light flashed and vanished. When it reappeared, it was already in front of Fu Chongshan. Fu Chongshan let out a loud roar and burst out with qi. The metal shard's ability to penetrate qi protection was slightly weaker than the Devil Break arrow, but it had the advantage in power. It penetrated through the qi and instantly penetrated into Fu Chongshan's body. Fu Chongshan vomited a large amount of fresh blood and was sent flying. The metal shard's qi was able to neutralize most of the force. The remaining force wasn't enough to penetrate his body, but it still sent his body flying. Wind and rain whirlwind kill. Fan Qiansong was extremely ferocious as he shot towards Fu Chongshan. The metal rod in his hand constantly drew circles in the air. As the circles got smaller, the power got stronger. Just like a drill, it ruthlessly drilled at Fu Chongshan. Urgent like starfire. Li Fuchen executed his strongest move too. A spark was shot at Fu Chongshan. Go to hell! Fu Chongshan brandished his saber and neutralized Fan Qiansong and Li Fuchen's killer move. Fresh blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Another Devil Break arrow pierced into Fu Chongshan's body and the arrow quaked. Damn it, all of you deserve to die. Fu Chongshan's heart was filled with grievance, violence, and anger. All sorts of emotions were driving him insane. Especially Li Fuchen, he wished he could eat his flesh and drink his blood. Taking advantage of his weakness, Fan Qiansong pointed his rod at Fu Chongshan's chest. Kacha! A few of Fu Chongshan's ribs were broken as he was sent flying again. Starfire burst. Among the 3 mystic class, mid-tier sword arts that Li Fuchen grasped, the Starfire sword style had the greatest lethality. The Starfire burst might seem insignificant and had a weak glow. But once it made contact with Fu Chongshan's qi, it immediately exploded with a shocking power, causing Fu Chongshan to vomit blood. You forced me to do this. Blood cleave. Fu Chongshan's body erupted with a blood light which flowed into his long saber. With a swing of his long saber, a blood-colored saber light covered a radius of a few dozen meters with an extreme speed. Pff. Li Fuchen and Fan Qiansong were both sent flying with blood dripping from their bodies. Fan Qiansong was still fine as his injuries weren't considered severe. But Li Fuchen was instantly severely injured. Luckily, when Fan Qiansong rushed over, Li Fuchen had already stopped revolving the wind shadow steps and switched to the true Inferno technique. If not, this saber strike would have killed him. But this saber strike from Fu Chongshan was obviously a 3-star secret technique that ignited one's blood to burst forth with extreme combat strength. I cannot give him a chance to catch his breath. Li Fuchen endured the dizziness and coordinated with Fan Qiansong to attack Fu Chongshan again. Die! The final Devil Break arrow was shot by Li Fuchen. This arrow was extremely lethal as it pierced into Fu Chongshan's lungs. The lungs were an extremely important part of the body, as the circulation of qi required the coordination of the lungs. With an arrow pierced into the lungs, the burst strength was reduced by at least half. Die! Fan Qiansong's veins were popping out on his forehead as he repeatedly struck at Fu Chongshan's body. With a series of crackling sounds, at least half of Fu Chongshan's bones were broken. His body went limp and his qi presence weakened. Fan Qiansong's rod shattered Fu Chongshan's forehead. Not good. On the other side, Li Wuxia saw this scene and felt fear in his heart. Before this, he didn't expect the situation to reach this stage. From his perspective, even if Li Fuchen and Fan Qiansong worked together, they wouldn't be a match for Fu Chongshan. Let's go! Li Wuxia waved the blood-colored flag and sent Fan Qianyu flying. He then scurried towards one of the tunnels. I will give chase. Fan Qiansong still had the majority of his combat strength to chase after Li Wuxia. As for Li Fuchen, he found it hard to even stand up. He consumed another mystic class, low-tier recuperation pill and sat down to recuperate. In just a short moment, Fan Qiansong returned. Brother, did you kill him? Fan Qianyu asked. Fan Qiansong shook his head. This person has plenty of artifacts on him. He escaped. With Fu Chongshan dead, I don't think he will be able to do anything. Fan Qianyu replied. Fan Qiansong said, it is best to kill him. Leaving him alive will always be a calamity. Chapter 213. After spending several hours, Li Fuchen's injuries had only recovered by 30% to 40%. This injury was the heaviest he had ever suffered. If he had been careless, he would have lost his life. What a close shave. Exhaling a breath that reeked of blood, Li Fuchen slowly opened his eyes. Fu Chongshan's ability was too overwhelming. He used all his methods and even with Fan Qiansong's help, he was only able to barely win against Fu Chongshan. It was hard to imagine if it wasn't for Fan Qiansong, to what extent would he be forced into. After all, he couldn't escape even if he wanted to. With Fan Qianyu around, he couldn't possibly abandon Fan Qianyu and escape alone. Li Fuchen, you are awake? Fan Qiansong and Fan Qianyu looked over. Li Fuchen nodded. Many thanks to the two of you. Fan Qiansong waved his hand and said, I have yet to see Fu Chongshan's storage bag. Let's see what he has and split it together. Li Fuchen replied, there is no need for that. Fu Chongshan's storage bag belongs to the two of you. Don't reject it if you still treat me as a friend. No matter what was in Fu Chongshan's storage bag, Li Fuchen didn't really care. All right, then I shall thicken my face and accept it. Fan Qiansong hesitated for a moment and nodded. Relying on mystic class, low-tier pills wouldn't be able to recover within a short period of time. Li Fuchen gritted his teeth and took out a mystic class, mid-tier recuperation pill from his storage bag. A mystic class, mid-tier recuperation pill was worth a few 100,000 contribution points. If converted to gold coins, it would be double the value. Before Li Fuchen came out, he only redeemed 2 mystic class, mid-tier recuperation pills. It was fortunate that after killing the Silver Cloth sects Lu Guangfeng and the Heaven Fiend sects Su Heishan, he obtained a total of 3 mystic class, mid-tier recuperation pills. If not, he would be feeling even more heartache. Not only was he feeling heartache over the value of the pill, he was also feeling heartache over what to use next time. In the outside world, it was still difficult to purchase a mystic class, mid-tier recuperation pill. Only some auctions would have such pills. The Mystic Class Mid-Tier Recuperation Pill was indeed worthy of being called a Mystic Class Mid-Tier Recuperation Pill. In just 15 minutes, Li Fuchen's injuries had recovered by 70% to 80%. The surging medicinal effects were like a stormy sea, repeatedly scouring Li Fuchen's wounds and nourishing his blood qi. His body's recovery ability was at least 10 times stronger in a short period of time. Let's go! Li Fuchen stood up. They had wasted too much time here. Good things didn't wait for people. Let's go. Fan Qiansong was in a good mood. The wealth in Fu Chongshan's storage bag was more than he had imagined. After giving a portion to his sister, the remaining portion was enough to save him a lot of time. Half a day later, Li Fuchen and the others finally exited the maze and arrived in front of a lake. There was only a single wooden bridge over the lake, which was about 500 meters long. The lake water on both sides of the single log bridge was dark green, with bubbles rising from time to time. Fan Qianyu threw a piece of metal into the lake. Visible to the naked eye, the moment the metal touched the water, it had already started to corrode. The degree of toxicity had already reached a horrifying degree. Just the rising poisonous gas was enough to deter the 3 of them from touching it. The lake water is highly toxic. We must not touch it, and I reckon we can't cross it either. A distance of 500 meters wasn't considered far. With the trio's ability, they could easily cross it. The crucial point was that the tomb owner wouldn't have thought of this and would not allow them to cross so easily. Let's give it a try. Li Fuchen swung his hand and threw a piece of metal towards the opposite shore. But the metal shattered, as though it was shattered by an invisible force. The degree of dominance was even more than the toxicity of the lake water. Seems like we can only cross the single log bridge. Li Fuchen frowned. Crossing the single log bridge might not be safe, but in order to cross it, it was the only way. Enveloping his entire body with the scarlet fire intent, Li Fuchen took the lead and crossed the single log bridge. He was certain that the toxic gas in the lake and the vibrating force in the air above the lake were all intense. Since it was intense, he had to use it to protect himself. It would at least increase his chances of survival. Stepping onto the single log bridge, Li Fuchen's scarlet fire intent suddenly fluctuated. As expected. Be it the poisonous gas or the vibrating force, they were both intense. Luckily, with the scarlet fire intense protection, Li Fuchen could still withstand it. Stepping off the single log bridge, Li Fuchen said to Fan Qianyu, "You have yet to comprehend a technique intent. Let's do it together." Fan Qiansong had already comprehended a technique intent, but Fan Qianyu hadn't. Li Fuchen felt that his technique intent was much stronger than Fan Qiansong's and could protect Fan Qianyu. Fan Qianyu nodded and followed behind Li Fuchen. Expanding the scarlet fire intent, Li Fuchen placed Fan Qianyu within his protection. When they were halfway across the single log bridge, the scarlet fire intent fluctuated violently. When they were halfway across, the scarlet fire intent almost collapsed. Luckily, the 2 of them arrived at the opposite shore unscathed. "Bro, be careful," Fan Qianyu said to Fan Qiansong. Fan Qiansong nodded. Using the carefree technique intent to protect himself, he stepped onto the single log bridge. Similar to Li Fuchen, when they were halfway across, Fan Qiansong felt the carefree technique intent fluctuating violently and his blood boiling. Luckily he only had to protect himself. If he was like Li Fuchen and had to protect Fan Qinyu, he probably wouldn't be able to cross the single log bridge. After a dozen breaths, Fan Qiansong arrived at the opposite shore. This tomb should be the tomb of an expert at the battle spirit realm or above. Only an expert at this level would be able to use the martial Dao intent to such a superb level. It is truly unimaginable. Fan Qiansong laughed bitterly and said. Li Fuchen asked, above the reincarnation realm is the battle spirit realm? Fan Qiansong nodded. That's right. Do you know about the Dolin clan? This clan's battle spirit bone frame is rumored to be related to the battle spirit realm. That's why this clan is so prosperous. With their clan's strength, they are able to stand at the pinnacle of the East Unicorn continent. Battle spirit realm? Dolin clan? Li Fuchen realized that his knowledge was still too shallow. Fan Qinyu said, originally, the East Unicorn continent was also filled with experts. But for unknown reasons, there was a great war that broke out in the East Unicorn continent. Almost all the absolute experts participated in it. Immediately after, all these absolute experts vanished. It was rumored that they were banished. As for the truth, no one knows. We only found out after flipping through some ancient records from the Carefree sect. Fan Qiansong said, these are still too far away from us. Let's not bother about this first. There seems to be a grand hall ahead. There was indeed a grand hall ahead. The door of the grand hall was already opened and there were figures flashing inside, seemingly chasing after something. Let's go in and take a look. Li Fuchen walked towards the grand hall. Within the grand hall, there were spots of light that looked like little fairies, dancing in the sky. Su Muyu, Song Qinghe, and Wei Shanhe were all chasing after the spots of light. Could these be inheritances? Fan Qiansong raised his brows. Inheritances were very special. They were like information. Before obtaining it, no one would know what this information was. Inheritances were divided into major inheritances and minor inheritances. Chapter 214. There were dozens of light spots in the Grand Hall. These light spots seemed to have their own spirituality. When Su Muyu and the others approached, they would immediately fly far away. Sensing the arrival of Li Fuchen and the others, Su Muyu and the others turned a blind eye. Their only thought was to quickly catch up to the light spot and obtain the inheritance. It wasn't hard to imagine how formidable a martial art or secret technique that could form an inheritance would be. It would probably be considered an elite direct inheritance in the sect. With their current ability, they were still unable to obtain a higher level direct inheritance from the sect, which was why the inheritance here was an opportunity, a chance to strengthen themselves. I like that sparkling and translucent light spot. Fan Qinyu joined the group of people chasing after the light spot. This white light spot should be good. Fan Qiansong took a glance and locked onto his target. No one knew what was inside the light spot and could only rely on their intuition. Li Fuchen didn't immediately join in. These light spots had different colors and gave off a subtle feeling. He didn't know if others could feel this subtle difference, but he could feel it. There were dozens of light spots, and Li Fuchen went to sense every single light spot and carefully experienced it. After a long time, Li Fuchen's eyes landed on a golden light spot. This golden light spot was extremely arrogant, like a monarch. No other light spots dared to approach it. Executing the wind shadow steps, Li Fuchen suddenly soared into the sky and skimmed towards the golden light spot. The golden light spot flashed and got far away from Li Fuchen. Interesting. Li Fuchen activated the mystical dragon secret technique and increased his speed. Like a phantom, he chased after the golden light spot. It was obvious that everyone had a different difficulty in chasing after the light spot. Song Qinghe, Wei Shanhe, and Fan Qinyu all had the same difficulty in chasing after the light spot. They were just a step away from catching up. Following behind was Fan Qiansong. Next was Su Muyu. Lastly was Li Fuchen. To a certain extent, the ability to choose the light spot was related to one's innate potential. The higher the innate potential, the stronger the intuition towards the inheritance light spot. Su Muyu was chasing after a green light spot. This light spot was second only to the golden light spot and was rather arrogant. "Ha, I caught it." Song Qinghe was the first to catch the light spot. As he grabbed it, the light spot fused into his body. In the next moment, his body froze in place, as though he was in a meditative state. "Let's see where you can run to." Wei Shanhe also grabbed a spot of light and his body froze in place. Immediately after, Fan Qinyu grabbed onto the sparkling and translucent light that she had her eyes on. In just a short period of time, only Fan Qiansong, Rain, and Li Fuchen had yet to catch the light spot. Looks like it's impossible to catch the golden light with conventional methods. Li Fuchen frowned. So far, the closest he had been to the golden light spot was a few meters away, and judging from the golden light spot's appearance, it was clear that it was doing it with ease. Stopping the pursuit, Li Fuchen landed on the ground. "Since I can't catch it, I'll lure it over." With this thought flashing in his mind, Li Fuchen burst out with his qi presence. Li Fuchen naturally didn't intend to use his qi presence to deter the golden light spot. If he really intended to do so, then he was undoubtedly a joke. The golden light spot was so arrogant, how could his qi presence be able to deter it? Even a Heaven Realm martial artist's qi presence wouldn't be able to do so. Li Fuchen wanted to use his spirit will to attract the golden light spots. His spirit will was indestructible. As his sword Dao deepened, it contained the sharpness of the sword. His spirit will also contained a trace of the golden amulet's power. It might be weak, but it was truly there. When Rain saw what Li Fuchen was doing, her eyes flashed with contemplation. But she was prepared to observe for a while longer. Perhaps it was because of Li Fuchen's tough spirit will, or maybe it was because Li Fuchen's spirit will contain the power of the golden amulet, but the golden light spot seemed to waver. It wanted to approach Li Fuchen, but couldn't make up its mind. It hovered in the air above Li Fuchen. It actually worked? Rain couldn't help but admire Li Fuchen. This person didn't just have exceptional innate potential, his way of thinking was also unique. Without feeling embarrassed to imitate Li Fuchen, Rain landed on the ground and burst out with her own qi presence. "Since everyone else is doing this, I shall learn from them." Intuition told Fan Qiansong that following Li Fuchen and Rain wasn't wrong. Next, the three of them burst out with their qi presence and used their spirit will to attract the light spots that they fancied. After 15 minutes, an interesting scene occurred. 3 light spots revolved around the 3 of them like mischievous children. They were teasing and testing the 3 of them, but they weren't willing to submit so easily. "Explode!" Rain yelled out delicately, her qi presence flourished even more. The life and death qi presence rippled out. Swish! The green light spot was like a swallow returning to its nest as it burrowed into Rain's body. In the next moment, Rain closed her eyes. After a short moment, Fan Qiansong followed closely behind and got his wish of attracting the light spot into his body. Finally, Li Fuchen was the only one left tangling with the golden light spot. "What are you hesitating for?" Li Fuchen looked at the golden light spot. The golden light spot gradually approached. "Within my body, there is an existence that far surpasses you. If you don't become my arm, then when are you going to?" Li Fuchen burst out with a shout. Within his spirit will, the sharpness of his sword intensified and the golden amulet's power was also fluctuating. This time, the golden light spot didn't hesitate anymore and burrowed into Li Fuchen's body. Boom! Boundless radiance burst out from Li Fuchen's mind. A huge amount of information was like a tidal wave, squeezing into Li Fuchen's mind. The information was very messy, giving Li Fuchen a splitting headache. But soon enough, the information automatically reorganized itself and gathered into paragraphs of words. Incomplete chapter of Sword Essence, 6-star secret technique. Using the bone marrow as a tool to condense the tool pattern. Once the tool pattern is formed, the sword essence is formed. Don't use the saber or sword, but the body is the sword. Black iron sword essence. Condense the black iron sword pattern. Bronze sword essence. Condense the bronze sword pattern. As the information was gradually completed, Li Fuchen was shocked. It was actually a 6-star secret technique. In the East Unicorn continent, 6-star secret techniques were nearly lost. The Azure Water sect relied on the 5-star secret technique, sect origin swords to guard their sect. What kind of concept was a 6-star secret technique? What's more, this incomplete chapter was already a 6-star secret technique. If it was a complete one, what grade of secret technique would it be? 7-star, 8-star, or even the legendary 9-star secret technique? Using the bone marrow as a tool to condense the tool pattern. Could it be refining the entire skeleton into a weapon? The content of the information shocked Li Fuchen as well. Apart from the quality of the materials used to forge a weapon, the most important factor was the quality of the tool pattern. Take for example Li Fuchen's black gold sword. The material used was only a few kilograms, but with the tool pattern, it weighed up to 50 kilograms. This was the same as changing the nature of the black gold iron. It wasn't hard to imagine what would happen once Li Fuchen refined his bone marrow into the black iron sword essence or even the bronze sword essence. When that happened, his bone hardness would probably reach an extremely horrifying level. Even demonic beasts and demons wouldn't be able to compare. But hardness was just the most basic. The sword essence wasn't just for hardness, its main purpose was to attack. I didn't get the sect origin swords, but who would have thought that I would obtain an even more incredible 6-star secret technique, the incomplete chapter of sword essence. Li Fuchen made up his mind to never divulge this secret technique. Even if it was the sect, he wouldn't divulge any information about the incomplete chapter of sword essence. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.